subscribers. Well, subscriber rate. Hit the fucking like button and subscribe before I knock your ass out, man. I ain't fucking with you, man.
UFC Vegas 63 back at the Apex with limited crowd. Of course, Cater versus Allen, a possible number one contender fight to fight maybe Emmett again. I don't know if Cater will get, back-to-back fights with Emmett, even though it was super close. I would like to see that fight again. Some people think Cater won that fight, so I'll definitely enjoy seeing that fight again. It was super close. I'll be looking at the main card like usual, guys. Breakdowns, free picks, leans, and what to avoid. Not a great card on paper, but sometimes these cards do surprise us. We do find some good fights, but overall not the best betting card. It's UFC Vegas, fight card, fight nights at the Apex. You guys should start expecting that. Before I get into the UFC 280 recap, which of course was another good card for us, I do draws, guys, for my yearly clients. Every 6 months or so for merchandise or memorabilia, just as a customer gesture to all my long-term clients. These are clients that have been with me for years or have been with me just for full year packages. I obviously do appreciate I have a bunch of guys, a lot more guys that just, come on every month or come for 3 months or come just for certain seasons because maybe they bet on that sport more. Do appreciate you guys as well. This is a gesture I just show for long-term clients. Winner of the draw, first of all, the draw was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and his father, bobblehead, as you can see right here. I put it up on the video. Super cool, very rare. You can't just buy these. Unless there's some like aftermarket websites where people resell possibly, but you can't just buy these. So I have this valued at a lot, and especially if you keep this for long time, and Vladdy Guerrero does be determined, could be one of the best hitters. I'm not gonna say ever, but it could be one of the hitters to play the game, right? Obviously, his father was great as well, so. Definitely something to keep, and definitely something that you would like to have, even if you're not a baseball fan. Winner, I do a random draw online. You can see the wheel here. Winner was Corey. So shout out to Corey. I did send you an email already. So just provide me your address information. Let's get into the recap, guys. UFC 280 recap. Big card on paper, and didn't disappoint, minus the co-main event, I guess. Sterling Dillashaw, obviously a little disappointing there, because the injury, right? Dillashaw did a great job, hiding this injury. I had no idea about it. I don't think anyone, besides in his camp, knew about it. So he definitely did a good job there. Sterling was able to just dominate on the ground, because Dillashaw had one arm, right? Another perfect card for myself and clients on sides. We did have one miss on an outcome on Bilal. Bilal by decision. On the right side, I do still, if I had to bet that, I would bet it 10 times out of 10 by decision, but he found a finish. Bilal doesn't find many finishes, but he was able to finish him on the feet. Right side, but I did get a little greedy, I guess, because the decision was plus 187 instead of getting at plus 110. I did think that was the path, but hey, Bilal, impressive. I love what I see from him. The run continues. Expected regression when you're on a 22-4 all fights run, guys. Regression's not coming. I'm able to avoid it due to not forcing plays, right? When you force plays, especially on these UFC Fight Night cards, you don't have to bet. Right? You don't have to bet. Especially when I bet, 5 to 7 different sports. I can be selective. People that just bet UFC, I feel bad for them because they're forced to bet every week. You're not going to profit long term like that. Let's get a quick recap. Fiorot found a way to get it done. Won round 2 and 3 in my eyes. Wasn't a great fight. I thought it would be a little better fight. It's hard to look good against Caitlin Chugagian, I feel like. Fiorot was able to, land the bigger shots like I mentioned in the video. Hopefully you did tail Fiorot. I had her in a full unit mixed parlay with the Dolphins in the NFL. That did cash for us. Gamrot and Dariush. What a fight, right? It just very high level grappling style fight. Dariush caught him with that big shot. And Darush just continues to find ways to win fights. His win streak is very impressive. And again, he's not going to get the title shot because Islam's going to go fight Volk. I feel bad for the guy, but, you know, Darush should be the #1 contender there. Love to see who they give him next. But Darush, very high in the guy. He's just so well-rounded. You saw his takedown defense against one of the best wrestlers in the division. It was very impressive. So, yeah, I'm high on Darush. And just a great attitude. He's always like, I'll fight whoever. I don't need the title shot. I would have liked him to call for the title shot because he should be able to at this point. But he's just a warrior. Love what I see from Darush. Can't wait to see his next fight. Feature fight with Jan O'Malley. What a great fight, right? Fight of the night. No matter how you scored it, O'Malley showed that he belongs in the top of the division. That's all you can really see, right? It was a close fight. People that say that it was a robbery are stupid. They probably had money on Jan, that's why. But, yeah, it's very close, right? Obviously, round 3 went to Sean. Outlanded him like 41-18. Round 2 went to Jan. And then round 1, up in the air, right? It was tough to call round 1. I'm not a judge. I can't really say it. At the end of the fight, I'm not going to lie, I'd lean that Jan won the fight. But I didn't think it was a robbery when O'Malley won. I was like, oh, okay. It wasn't like, oh my God, what a robbery, like some of you idiots out there. But, you know, O'Malley looks like he belongs in the top of this division. The striking is top level, probably the best in the division, the striking. Obviously, he can work on his wrestling. He did get taken down multiple times, but when Jan took him down, he didn't do much. It was, when he did take him down, no ground and pound, and it was just O'Malley trying to pull off submissions. That's what it was when he got him down to the ground. So, close fight. I do feel for Jan. You know, he's a couple of the decisions that he was on the wrong side of that he could have won. But you know, it's good for the UFC to have O'Malley up this high. Co-main event, I briefly touched on it. You know, TJ with the injury. Tough to see. You know, he's a tough son of a bitch, so I get why he went in there and tried to fight. Maybe he could knock him out on the feet. I don't know what he was thinking, but if it went down to the ground, he's fighting on one arm. He has no chance. And Sterling just beat him up on the ground, right? Finish him TKO. I thought he maybe could find a submission. Didn't find a submission, but, you know, I guess, you know, TJ just didn't want to lose the payday, right? That's all you can really say here. You know, he gets a nice payday, I'm sure. I don't know what he's definitely in, you know, probably 300,000, 400,000. I don't know. That's just a guess, but he's getting good value, good money for that fight. Definitely interesting to see what Sterling does next. Is it O'Malley? Is it Henry Cejudo? We'll see. We'll see. Definitely looking forward to see what happens in that division. A lot of contenders there. Main event, Islam didn't disappoint us, right? He found a submission and looked dominant. He looked dominant in the fight. I took plus money by finish at plus 120 to avoid that minus 170 price. I'm all in on Islam. I'll never bet against him no matter what. Whoever he fights, I will bet Islam and find a way to bet him. You know, opening odds already 4-1 I see against Volk on Islam. Hard to bet that minus 400, but find a finish. You know, I think he just chokes out Volk again. There's a little early preview for you guys. Obviously, it's going to be Islam's hardest test yet, but I think he beats Volk. I don't think Volk has the grappling to keep up with him. Weekly update, guys. Weekly update. 22-4 all fights run right now, which I mentioned on the top of this card. 102-52 long term, guys. That's 66%. Long term, that's what matters more. But when you get shorter runs like this, you know, 12-2, those are fairly easy. I hit those all the time. But 22-4 is something that I'm you know, proud about, and I do mention it time and time again. Over 60 units now, guys, in the prop market. Remember, I handicap full unit, half units. Some smaller units, you know, 0.25 on longer shots too. So, you know, it's not like I'm betting crazy units. I'm very disciplined. That's why I'm able to profit long-term on all sports. PGA, profitable weekend thanks to 2-0 matchups and attacking Rory and Ram in the top countryman market. We hit on both of those. 22-13 prop run right now, guys. 12-3 matchup run and just under 80 units in the prop market. No outrights. Haven't bet outrights for a while now. Smaller tournaments are tough on the outright market. NFL just missed out on profit last week due to the Pats. Pats ruined our teaser. Big upset there. Bears going into New England and beating them. 30-18 run in the NFL right now. Props have been my most profitable so far this year at 12-5, 71% on the year in the prop market. Usually bet anywhere from 2 to 5 props per week. NHL and NBA, low volume. It's early. I'm trying to figure out the teams right now. 1-1 in the NHL, 0-1 in the NBA. Going back to last year, though, in the NHL, this is my one stat that I like here that I'm really proud about. Going back to the NHL as of last year, of course, 44-17 run. That's 72%, guys, in the NHL. Going back to that, and on the year in the NHL, the full year is 66%. So very happy about that. Anything 60 above in the NHL, I'm happy about. NHL can be difficult to bet at times. If you want my personal plays, guys, in all sports and want to start profiting long-term in all markets, systemsportscapping.com is the website to join the worldwide client list today. At the website, you can find updated records, free picks, resume, client comments over the years, and you can see I do draws for my long-term clients as well. Very interactive with customers as well. You can email me as well. I can answer questions, obviously, as long as they're constructive and positive. Let's hear from my friend Meredith before we get into this card.
Guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Guys, like this video as well. It helps me out a ton. Like the video, comment, and share. Shop around, guys. I always say shop around. Have multiple books. It's very important. It helps you profit more because you're getting better numbers at certain books. So have multiple books. It's the best advice I can give each week. Let's get into it, guys. Main event. It's a good one. Not many good fights on this card, but this is definitely a good main event. Excited for this one, right? The only fight I'm really looking forward to, be honest, from a betting standpoint, though, this fight's difficult to handicap from a side standpoint. Very difficult. We know the story here, right? Veteran guy who has fought the best of the best in this division. Super close to that title shot. When he got there, obviously, Max destroyed him. It was tough to see for Cater, but showed how durable he is, right? In that fight, I learned, usually when sometimes someone takes a beating like that, like Cater did, the next fight is kind of could be, he could kind of be sluggish or down or may not. It may affect his career moving forward when he takes such a bad beating like that. But he showed against Giga, the Georgian, who was very highly rated. A lot of people were high on Giga and thought that he may go through Cater. Cater just handled him very easily. Could have got an early finish, but he beat up Giga, for pretty much 5 rounds. Got a nice decision there. So, Cater's a guy very durable, very game. He's a guy that will fight for your money, which is always, somebody you have to look at when you see plus money at plus 105. Allen. I like Allen a lot. He's that new wave guy, that prospect, that guy that a lot of guys are high on with that 9-fight win streak in the UFC, right? He does have some notable wins, too. It's not just like he's beating up cans. Dan Hooker, he finished Dan Hooker, even though Hooker's towards the end of his career now. Yusuf, very impressive win. A lot of people are high on Yusuf. I'm high on Yusuf as well. And the Nick Lentz win also was good. Rest of the guys fairly low level. Cater obviously will be his toughest test yet. He hasn't fought 5 rounds as well, Allen, which I'm concerned about. Not concerned about his cardio. I just haven't seen it. We haven't seen him fight 5 rounds. So if this fight does get to the 4th, 5th round, which I expect it to, how is he going to look, right? So there are some unknowns here with Allen. The competition hasn't fought a guy like Cater before, and this is a 5-round fight. Keep that in mind, guys. Right, so when I see a favorite here in Allen at minus 125, it's hard for me to get to that. When I've seen Cater do this, when I see him in his spot win, so plus money with Cater, I would have to bet this side, and I would lean this side for video purposes. I won't have a bet on this fight for clients. If I did, like I said, it would have to be a smaller unit on Cater just due to the price. Allen hasn't shown me yet that he can do this. I am worried a little bit about his volume as well. If I expect this fight to go over in rounds and possibly a decision all 5 rounds, I'm going to have to go with Cater due to the volume, the higher volume, right? Over 5. Allen's a little lower in volume. And I think if Allen wins this fight, he's going to have a better approach. He's going to have to bring the fight, and he's going to have to throw more. So there's a lot of what ifs with Allen. Love the guy. I think this fight's going to be very close. And I do think it goes 5 rounds or possibly a later stoppage. However, both guys aren't really known to finish guys or at least have one knockout power. A lot of decisions on the record, right? Cater, fun fact with Cater, his last 4 fights, all main event 5-rounders, and all went to decision. Keep that in mind. Why? Because Cater, like I mentioned, doesn't have that one-shot power, doesn't really have a submission threat. More of a boxer, moves well, throws volume, and he's a warrior, right? He just doesn't get finished, guys. You see in that Max fight, he just does not get finished. So, taking like an Allen prop to get plus money for him to finish the fight, forget it. Sure, he could, but it's hard to bet against Cater due to that. Now, is his chin wearing out because he's taking a lot of damage? Possibly, but I'm not willing to bet it. From a side standpoint, I won't bet it. I like this fight to go all 5 rounds, though, good chance, or a late decision. So you're like over 3.5 rounds, over 4.5 rounds. Could be a look, but this should make the judges' scorecard again. And a side, like I said, very tough to handicap. A side here won't make my client card, but I lean Cater just because of the plus money. Just because of the plus money, and then the few things I still want to see from Allen. So I'm not betting this side on this fight, but value there with Cater. Means plus 150 versus Griffin minus 175. This could be a fun one. This could be a fun one, fight of the night candidate. Both guys are willing to bang, right, and bring a fight. Means the vet, a bit older now. I think he's touching 40, almost 40 now. He showed against Holland, he didn't look great against Holland. Obviously Holland at a higher level than Means at this point. We were actually on Holland in that fight by submission at plus 900. And it cashed for us, guys, because I saw a path for Holland to get a submission there. And that's exactly what he did. Before that loss, Means was on a 3-fight win streak. Nicholas Dalby, very good fighter. Solid win there. And then Mike Perry and Starpoli, mid-tier guys. Griffin seems to be fighting at his best self right now, right? Coming off that Magny fight where I thought he could have won the fight. It was so close that Dana White actually paid Griffin his win bonus. You don't see that much, guys. You don't see that much. So in that fight, he showed good takedown defense, Griffin. Magny, he likes to mix it up. He likes to try to get the fight down to the ground. And Griffin was able to avoid that. So I don't see Means getting this fight to the ground. I think it's just going to be a stand-up battle. And when we see a stand-up battle, probably be a close fight. Most likely this fight's going to be close. But I do favor Griffin slightly here. The age, like I mentioned, but I do think Griffin looked great his past few fights here. I do think he's found something. And Griffin can maybe even get this fight down to the ground. I wouldn't rule that out. As you can see, the totals here, slight lean to Griffin getting the fight down more. Most likely will go to decision, guys. Maybe a late finish. But if I had to bet this fight, I would take it all 3 rounds. Maybe Griffin by decision. It's going to be a close finish. It's going to be a close decision card, though. Maybe even a split. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a split. But video purposes, Griffin, is it going to make my betting card? Maybe. And if I do, it could be maybe like a Griffin by decision, and you get a plus money bet there. So I'll be looking at that. Obviously, I wait for weigh-ins and all that before I pull the trigger. These fights are getting a little uglier now, guys. So bear with me. Cortez minus 220 versus Vanderea plus 180. Classic mid-tier heavyweight fight. Maybe lower tier, especially with Vanderea, how he's looked as of late. I'll be staying away from this fight, but I'll discuss it quickly here, guys. Cortez still undefeated at 7-0 and winner in the Dana White Contender Series, if you guys remember that. This is his UFC debut, so keep that in mind. Minus 220 UFC debut, sometimes a little sketchy. Vanderea has been in there with a lot of guys, right? But 4-fight losing streak. Lost to Chase Sherman his last fight. That's all I really have to say here. So if I had to bet a side here, it has to be the younger, fresher 7-0 fighter in Cortez. Minus 220 is difficult to handicap, though difficult to bet, right? So it's going to be hard for me to bet that at minus 220. Guys making the UFC debut in UFC mid-tier heavyweight, guys. Video purposes, though, Cortez, I'll take him. This is just a terrible fight to bet in general. Vanderay's looked terrible. You know, losing to Sherman, like I mentioned. The old man, Olynyk, as well. So, yeah, it has to be Cortez or pass for me here, guys. Frem, the minus 170 versus Gore, plus 140. Another ugly one, guys, here. Both guys looking for a win in the UFC, right? Frem lost his only fight against a tough guy in Anthony Hernandez. He showed some good wrestling there, though, some jiu-jitsu in that fight. But Hernandez was just too much. Gore, 2 losses in the UFC. He just hasn't looked good at all. Little hype, I guess, from the Contender Series. Then he got hurt, if I recall. Then he got to fight Battle. He lost the Battle in the Ultimate Fighter Finals. And then he followed up a loss at Cody Brundage, which is, you know, lower level guy. He's just looking scared to pull the trigger from what I've seen from Gore. He has some power in his hands, but he's just not pulling the trigger in his fights. It's just hard for me to, even though there's plus 145, it looks juicy on a Frem guy who I'm not high on. It's just Gore hasn't shown me anything that he can win this fight. Seems a little mentally unstable as well. I can't get to this fight. I can't bet this fight. I'm going to lean Frem here at minus 170, but this fight will not make my scorecard, or should I say client card this week. Probably lean a decision. Fight probably go all 3 rounds, but I won't be betting this fight. This fight could be good. The opening fight here, Jacoby minus 175 versus Roundtree plus 150. Should see a nice kickboxing fight. Both guys are kickboxers. Jacoby's still undefeated in the UFC, guys. And on a 4-fight win streak coming into this one. A big win last time out versus a dangerous Young. And he was established a first-round finish in that fight. He looked very well established on the feet there. Roundtree, on the other hand, also fighting well on a 2-fight win streak with wins over Bukakis and Robertson. You know, the question with Roundtree always is his mental, is his mind there? Is his mind right? That's always a question with him. Jacoby called it out this week already that, you know, his mental issues, or is he mental capable for this fight or fighting in the UFC is always the question. Jacoby actually called it out, which was surprising to see. Roundtree, I did watch a lot of interviews with him this week. He seems ready. He says he had a great training camp. It's just what Roundtree are we going to get in there, right? And if it's a kickboxing fight, Jacoby, that's where he comes from, kickboxing world. I have to lean Jacoby here. He's been great in the UFC. He's getting a few big wins back-to-back. Roundtree, you just don't know where you're going to get from him. Again, Jacoby minus 175 is not something you want to bet a lot, right? It's not something that I'm excited about, but it could make a 2-fight parlay for me. I usually do a 2-fight parlay. Jacoby could be a piece. I have to see the weigh-ins. I just can't be all in at this price at minus 175. If you get that top level A+ Roundtree, it's going to be a close fight. And Roundtree has a good chance to win this fight at plus 150. Is this 2-fight win streak a reemergence? Is this the best that we see of Roundtree? And could he beat Jacoby? He definitely could. This is a close fight. If they fought, 10 times, I lean Jacoby wins 6, but could be 5-5. It's a close fight. It's a good fight. I think it's a good fight. I'm going to just lean Jacoby because I've seen a little more in a longer period from him, and he has beat the better guys on his resume. So lean Jacoby may make my client card this weekend. That will do it, guys. That will do it. NFL Week 8 video will be out tomorrow, so look out for that. Fight night cards, back to fight night cards. We won't have a pay-per-view card until, I think, mid-November, if I recall, so looking forward to that. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and know your limits. Take care.